So yes, I work for Willy's Apple Cider Vinegar. I've been there 2 months, but I did join William Chase back in 2005 on the quest to become Britain's premier posh crisps manufacturer, and that was so much fun. And I've worked for Tyrrell's ever since, and whilst that wasn't working for William, I'd like to think it was carrying on his ethos and the personality that he put into the brand, the spirit of it, and that sense of just doing things differently. So I've rejoined him on a new quest now. In the meantime, he has been making vodka and gin, but I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the journey of how we got here and to this lovely sort of wellness concept, wellness brand, what we're going to do next with it, and sort of what it means to us and what makes it special. So I often get asked, so whereabouts are you in relation to London? And we are the wild west side of London, which is Herefordshire, not Hertfordshire, Herefordshire. So if you think Welsh border, and we are near a lovely place called Ledbury, in a tiny village called Little Markle that Will has renamed Little Miracle. And it's just the most gorgeous place that looks like this. So since 2005 I've been based on a farm because I've worked for William Chase. So when it was Tyrrell's Court Farm where he was born and Tyrrell's was set up. And now I work at Ladin Farm, which is his home, and we work in that barn there, which is called the Wonky Barn, and this is our office, and it's just the most beautiful little place. And whilst you're thinking, okay, it's a pretty place, get on with it, the location is quite key to it, in that in the same way as Tyrrell's Court Farm and what was happening there was integral to the Tyrrell's brand, i.e. potatoes, Will's own potatoes grown all around it. At Ladin Farm, we're surrounded by 200 acres of apple orchards, a big chunk of which are very, very old orchards, and you turn up there and it's like its own little biome, without getting too twee and sort of geeky about it, but there is something really special going on there. And whereas with potatoes, you grow a crop and you have to wait 5 years until you can grow it in that same field again because of the nutrients and how it affects the land. Apple orchards just mature, and I'll come on to talk about something special that's in our apple cider vinegar, which is the mother. And when you've got orchards that are like 300-year-olds and the apples they produce, there's something really special going on there. It's like this recycling of nutrients that obviously gets ploughed back into the apple cider vinegar. But it's a really amazing place. We're a team of 9. Tom in the top left there, it looks after the farm. That's Will, that's Delilah, that's the apple pressing, that's Pig, that's Tom's special tractor, that's the Wonky Barn. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about what makes all of that special. So, sustainable farming. So Will Chase is a farmer at heart. He's traded potatoes, he's made crisps out of potatoes, he's made vodka out of potatoes. But now it's all about the apples. And as I said, we're surrounded by all these beautiful orchards, and it's our duty to protect those. But Will has lots of advice, and one of those bits of advice recently was, you've just gone and planted lots of new orchards around your old orchards. The bugs and the sort of bacteria from the old orchards, it's not great for your new orchards, Will. So in comes Tom, who's our expert, and he's built a load of bug hotels in the new orchard. So it's kind of nature finding a way, but with the help of Tom and the team of 9, and Tom being the expert he is, we're just kind of trying to protect as much as possible. But to get on to how wellness is integral to our brand and talk about, I guess, the trends we're seeing, there's something quite marked happening in Herefordshire in particular, where we're based. So Hereford's famous for 3 things when it comes to food and drink: potatoes, cider apples, and Herefordshire beef cattle. So we've talked about potatoes, but in terms of apples, the wellness trend is kind of impacting the land in front of our eyes, because when we talk about cider apples, so up until about 2 or 3 years ago, you know, the main thing in cider, you know, the main brands were like Strongbow, pretty sort of standard ciders. But there was an article in The Guardian last summer that basically said, you know, Heineken, the big cider brands, you know, orchards are being bulldozed because of a new trend in cider drinking, which is that people's tastes are being conditioned to like very sweet ciders, fruity ciders. So what you've got in Herefordshire is acres of bittersweet apples either being trashed or going fallow, and it's quite a, I mean, it's a trend, it's people's tastes. People are almost being trained, you know, through kind of sugary drinks to like one thing over another thing. But I just think it's quite fascinating. You've got one fruit and a trend going that way, the apple, but in our case, you've got a trend for naturally fermenting and gut health and probiotics, leading to a trend where Will Chase, who is, you know, a seasoned farmer, being able to buy up acres of old bittersweet apple orchards, and also because of the demand, plant new orchards, because we make cider out of bittersweet apples and then we ferment it until it turns into apple cider vinegar with the mother. And I just personally think that's quite fascinating, how you've got, you know, alcohol on the one hand and a trend for kind of sugary drinks, and a completely opposing trend in natural fermenting. But the good thing is we're able to save some of that land and, you know, keep it all going. So, and we recycle as much as we can. So the whole apple goes into the apple cider vinegar. You know, I talked about the mother, which I'll explain in a bit more detail, but there's so much heritage in what we're doing. It's just constantly being recycled, you know, over years, but also in the product itself. You know, the pips, the stalks, the whole fibre, everything goes into making the apple cider vinegar. So just in a nutshell, you know, that's the journey, well, the left-hand side is the journey I've been on straight up to Willy's here. And I guess what underpins it all is, whilst crisps and alcohol, not necessarily good for you, but underpinned by this sense of, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the best job possible of it. So, you know, Tyrrell's, it was kettle chips, sort of dark fry crisps, so quite hard to eat, quite oily. And Tyrrell's came along using different varieties, more golden, light fry, and to get technical about it, low in acrylamide crisp, that was spun to drain off some of the oil. I mean, not everybody maybe knows that, appreciates it, but it was the best we could do, and, you know, you could hopefully taste the difference. In Chase, you know, you've had a lot of brands making gin and vodka in a very industrial process, so Will set about to make the first single estate spirit. So from start to finish, you know, owning the whole process. And then on to Willy's, you know, from potatoes to apple, and this natural daily dose, and trying to get people maybe to think of wellness as rather something that you do when you're poorly to make yourself better, you know, like a Lemsip. It's just part of your daily ritual, and for us it's all about the daily dose. 25 ml, are you on it? So, oh, actually I should have said, Lady Clare's a potato and a Collington Big Bitter is a very old, gnarly apple. So I guess my job, yes, is trying to encourage people to try apple cider vinegar, to play around with it, to have in smoothies, with hot water with lemon, in salads, just kirk and have fun with it. But there is this, you know, this buzz around it, and has been for quite a few years. It's not a new product. In fact, people have been taking apple cider vinegar for hundreds of years. But I've got the likes of Victoria Beckham evangelising about it, and Gwyneth Paltrow, and I think there's generally a kind of an increase in awareness and knowledge around it, but there's still so much education to do. But I think what is putting it on the map most of all at the moment is just a growing awareness and appreciation of gut health, and how the foods are naturally high in probiotic or gut-friendly bacteria are really sort of enjoying a moment in the spotlight. Double page spread in the Telegraph last weekend about fermenting, and you know, apple cider vinegar in their kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut. So whereas we've, maybe the likes of Rand Fines talking about apple cider vinegar help my arthritis, now it's quite a serious conversation around, okay, how do you put good stuff in your gut to help every other bit of your body flourish? So what we find is a bit like you were saying about, let people play around with it and then tell you how they use it, especially in the world where, for us, maybe more than tried and tested, it's tried and trusted from kind of a gran or an auntie that's had it. People just send us the most brilliant posts where, it's in its simplest form, a drink in the morning with some lemon and a shot, through to some quite complex recipes where they're browning off meat in apple cider vinegar and giving it this amazing taste. So we're taking it all in, and we've actually got an annual coming out at the end of the year, and anybody who's sent recipes in is in with a chance of being the annual. So, but I guess why do we think now is our time? And I'm talking to a room of experts here, but when you're talking to people who are maybe new to this, it's putting it in the context of, as Waitrose actually said in the first line of their food and drink report, it's the era of the mindful consumer, and it's wellness as a lifestyle rather than wellness when you're poorly and you need to fix yourself. And just this nudging forward from the evangelists to the advocates to the amateurs of how we just make ourselves a bit healthier. And we all aspire maybe to be like Gwyneth Paltrow or maybe Deliciously Ella, who live and breathe this stuff and know every single healthy term in the book. But I think for the majority of us, it's small steps forward, and hand in hand with that, doing good things for the environment. For us in particular, when we talk about wellness and health, it's very much as part of a gut health dialogue when it comes to the apple cider vinegar. It's raw, it's unpasteurised, it's unfiltered. The bits of mother, which is this probiotic culture that grows as you let apple cider vinegar sit, it's literally live in the vinegar, so you could pour it out and she's kind of floating about. And we talk about her as she's a person, she's live, she's in the ACV, she's there doing her good stuff. And much like a SCOBY and a kombucha, it's just this little miracle of a thing really, that when it's unpasteurised, it's so good for your gut. And then lifestyle, I suppose the trends for us, people aren't drinking as much, they're looking for clean food and drink. And I'll come on to talk about what we've got next, but the no alcohol one is a particularly interesting one for us. So in terms of the claimed benefits, I suppose we're starting from a great point in that it is raw, it's unpasteurised, and it's that process where to make apples into cider, it ferments, the yeast ferments it, and then it's the acetic acid to get it from the cider into apple cider vinegar. And then the beneficial bacteria in this mother, which if you leave it, it develops into, basically it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but she's this mass of cultures really, and she just sits there and kind of infuses the cider vinegar with all this goodness. And yeah, we celebrate it. I mean, there she is. That's so Anna is our head of production, and she's our fermenter, and she's so proud of her cultures. And there's the mother there. And yeah, as I said, she's not going to be appearing on a catwalk soon. But if you're enjoying apple cider vinegar, literally when it's floating about those bits, don't be scared of them. That's where all the goodness is. And what do our fans kind of quote back to us? So we've had people who claim that apple cider vinegar helps with gut health, so from symptoms like IBS. It's helped with those symptoms. It's a natural source of energy. It helps regulate blood sugar, helps reduce cholesterol. And even people sort of putting it on makeup wax and putting it on their skin, and it's helping with acne and skin conditions. And I guess it all comes back to things like the mother, the acetic acid, where it's a very powerful antibiotic in a way and helps reduce that inflammation. So as that's sort of going through your body in its purest form, diluted, as I return to tell you, what's ibadineke? It's got some pretty potent properties. So, still to come. So we talk about this daily dose and enjoying 25 ml either in water for the purists, in a smoothie, in a salad, etc. It's almost too good a thing to just have apple cider vinegar. So we're just about to launch a range of shots that has your daily dose. So it's half apple cider vinegar, half beetroot. There's a honey and turmeric, there's an apple and ginger, and also a natural energy drink. So as I mentioned, natural fermentation is a really big trend at the moment, and again, it's not a new thing. People have been fermenting kefir water, kimchi, apple cider vinegar for centuries, but Will being Will and wanting to own the process and infuse everything he does with provenance and pedigree, has invested £300,000 in this incredible fermenting kit from Germany that helps us to control the fermentation process, and it helps us to make apple cider. It allows us to make apple cider vinegar and kombucha in a really special way. So we've blended those two things together, added apple juice, added a bit of ginger. We've got a borehole under the orchards where we're drawing water, and we call it Ned, the natural energy drink. Ned is born, and actually born today. So the first canning happened today, so that's just immensely exciting. And just to finish on, yeah, you know, what makes an entrepreneur just carry on going? You know, why would you want to enter the like £15.2 billion drinks market? And I mean, that's the kind of healthy drinks bay in Sainsbury's. And just look at all the things going on there. It's just unbelievable how wellness has come on. Kind of, you know, what people from, I guess, dial back 10 years ago, and I guess innocent smoothies or even more, you know, that was probably at the cutting edge of putting something healthy in your body. And we've got charcoal shots, we've got egg protein drinks, we've got probiotic waters, we've got new generation colas, and I took the liberty of putting a few cans of Willy's on there when somebody was looking and saying, Willy's, that's an energy drink. So that's what, as well as helping obviously to spread the word about apple cider vinegar and all its benefits, is going to be keeping me busy this year. That's it.